Ladies and gentlemen, for the second time, welcome back to the mix table. We got a brand new season for you, season 3. We got Anwar in the building. Tyrone, how you feeling today?
Let me take some time like I'm bringing it back. I only needed me a minute, let me keep it compact. It's a new season, you can see the trees leaving. So please believe we prepared for the sneezing. So bless us, and know it's just us. Me and my boy, we the whole team, kinda like the just us. I'm the Superman, got the drive like the Uberman. And he the Batman, he handy with the Thule man. But next on the scene, to step on the ring, it's my boy Anwar. He's so fresh and so clean. And Lotus the team, so you know what that mean? The whole team gonna be blooming just like the spring. So say your prayers like the rosary, and I'ma set this thing straight like it's supposed to be. Ain't nobody close to me, so come get your fix and come see how we cook it up all in the mix. How is it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of The Mix Table. I am your host with the most, Mr. Tyrone McClendon. In front of me, by my side, I am joined by my co-host, my best friend, my DJ, Mr. Young Seppi himself, Joseph Middledorf.
Hello. Thank you for tuning in once again. Hello to all the beautiful people out there. We got a good one for you today.
And right here in the middle, and also to my side here, we have one of my favorite creatives, one of the most hardworking people I see, both in front and behind the scenes of this Atlanta scene, Mr. Anwar Dougsiyeh.
Hey guys.
We did it.
That was the craziest intro.
Was it really?
Like, no bullshit. I was like, yo.
What's happening right now?
Literally.
I took a lot out of me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Did you rehearse that?
Maybe. Nah, dude, it's all off the top. That's the whole point of the show. It's off the top. Come on now.
Exactly.
Woo. Well, turn that down a little bit.
Yeah, I got it over here. Put it back at the normal volume.
That's it.
Yeah, I got it.
Sorry for that, audience. Well,
we'll fix that in post.
Like I said, though, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode. Now, as you can see, we've already switched things up a little bit just by the visual setup of things, but we're also switching things up a little bit as far as structure goes here today because, you know, I have my man Anwar here today, and I wanted to really pick his brain because this has been a long time coming. Like, we've supposed to done a podcast like 5 podcasts ago, you know, some deal like that. So, but you're finally here now, and I'm beyond grateful to finally have you here. But I know I've introduced you, but this is your camera, or that, whatever camera you want to choose. Let the people know who you are and what it is that you do.
Hey guys, my name is Anwar Dougsiyeh. I would say I am how would I say? What would I say that I do? I feel like I do a lot of things, but the main thing is I co-founded Lotus Rosary with my 2 partners, Tyreek and Oni Colbreth.
All right. Well, yeah, that's just like the small piece of what you do, but we'll start there because that is one of the more fascinating things to me, and that's what drew me to you. So let me rewind the clock a little bit. I want to say the year is 2018. I want to say, you know, like most of us out here in the scene, I be staying on the social scene. What's going on? What's the new thing to be at? Where's everybody going to be at? Who's performing? How do I get there? You know?
Right.
You see plenty of flyers, posters go across the feed that just kind of go in one ear, go out the other. We're all kind of just passively scrolling on Instagram or whatever. But there was one name that I would always see come across my feed all the time, and that was Lotus Rosary. Now, I had no idea what that meant, who it was, what it was, or anything like that, because there's plenty of people out here in the city who throw parties and have all sorts of events and collectives, whatever. So I was like, okay, whatever, just another group of people who decide to throw parties. I'll show up, because what caught me, they had a lineup of just like so many of the up and coming artists who I was friends with, people that I was fans of, just such a wide variety of people that I was like, I kind of have to be here, like, you know, like to network or just to enjoy the scene in its whole. You kind of gotta be at a place like this. So I go to the bakery, And I get there, and there's literally a line out of the door. Now, if anyone has ever been to the bakery, you're aware of like the whole setup. You got to walk up the ramp and then go into the thing. The line was out the door. Out the door. And I was like, okay, no, this must be something legit. Then I go inside, and it's legitimately like a whole like festival setup. There's like an outside area. You got artists showing off their art. You got the actual artist in there talking to you, showing the things, explaining to you. Then you go around the corner. Then there's a whole stage set up. There's a whole area for people to listen to music. And then, of course, you have the artist coming up, playing, having a good time. And this is my experience at a Lotus. This is my first time ever going to a Lotus Rosary experience. And immediately I was like, okay, these guys are onto something.
Based on what you're saying, it sounds like it wasn't your last time.
Definitely wasn't my last, but it was at that moment I was like, oh, okay, these guys are onto something good. And I was like, I have to talk to them. At the time, I was doing a whole bunch of other media thing, and I was like, literally, I just want to follow these guys around and see how they do what they do. But things happen. Here we are now, and it's just great to finally be able to talk to you and pick your brain about this movement that you started here.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate that. That's crazy that was your first Lotus. Like, that was like a peak Lotus for us, I feel like. Because one, like, bakery is just a venue that has just so much history for the underground and just, like, new artists. So it was just crazy that was your first one, because that took, like, so much. Like, we were just like, bruh, we have to make one of the craziest showcases that features everyone. I want visual artists. We want everything there. And we weren't expecting it to be as packed as it was. But there was like this crazy like spike of like RSVPs. Like, I felt like that was like the first time like Lotus was like going like kind of like viral within our city. Cause like the flyers were just, I felt like the promotion, the graphics was all like crazy, which is like Oni and Tyreek. So I feel like, that being said, I just think that's crazy that's your first one, because that's such like that's one that's like up there for the books.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it was a great starting point. So I was like, oh yeah, now these dudes are legit. So let's take it all the way back though. We've kind of set the stage of like what you would come to create, but now let's take it back a little bit. I want to start at your humble beginnings, so to speak. So tell me a little bit about where you're from, who was all in the household growing up, and just your early beginnings.
Yeah, so I feel like kind of where everything started was like really in high school. I went to Westlake High School. It's in like Southwest Atlanta. And when I was at Westlake, we always had this like cool ass like community of just like creatives and just like a great friend group. And I feel like my house was always the house that like everyone would come over and like come hang out. We would always throw like big like parties with like our friends and just kickbacks overall.
Now, did you invite people over, or did it just happen that your place was just the place everybody ended up at?
So it was very curated. Of course, it's like, I mean, it's with Westlake, it's like everyone knows each other. So I just had like my friend group that would just always come over, and like my closest friends like Vic, Kendrick, Amadeus, and so everyone would just like come over to our house. And I realized like one day, like I was like, yo, like everyone here is just so talented, and it's like we link up so often. It's like, what if we did something with this? Like, what if it was like something more? So through high school, I used to like sell candy like all throughout the halls, and I feel like that was like my earliest form of like entrepreneur stuff or whatever.
You gotta watch out for those kids who sell the candy in school. Like they're plotting to take over the world, all of them.
Hardest workers on the planet.
Exactly.
Yeah. For sure. I feel like that was the moment.
If there's $1 to be had, like if I gotta put money on who's gonna get it, it's that guy. Like,
no, for sure. You're literally hustling in school. Like we used to go crazy. We started like a little candy empire in the school. Like you would like get like a huge bag of candy, and you're like, hey, you can sell this for free. We just want like 20% type shit.
These schools
like
really teach you how to sell drugs, like in a way.
And that's the scary part, I think, because I could have went so left.
Yeah.
like just because I had that like that mindset of just like, oh wow, you can make money, like this is,
because I think about too, like just how they police that shit, like because you weren't allowed to sell it, and so they literally teach you how to like be covert about it and have like drop points and this and that. They're like, let me make sure you know, like as soon as you hit the street dropping out of or getting out of high school, like you have the playbook already.
Was the school on your radar? Did they know, or
no,
were they?
It was one teacher who caught me one time, and it was just hilarious because it's like all these students, like there's even the faculty, like they could never tell that it was me like doing all this stuff because they just judged me as like, it's like this nerdy scrawny kid, like he's not on anything. Like even when I was just in the halls, like they would never like, usually they'll check your pass to see like, oh, did you get a pass to even be just kicking it in the hall? But no, I never got checked ever, so that's why it was
hiding in plain sight.
I was exactly about to say that.
So one day it's like I was literally selling candy on this one hall, and this one teacher but we can take her name out.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
But she literally, like, I was just handing somebody a candy bar, and as soon as I hand somebody the candy bar, she snatches my bag like from behind me, and she's like, "Not on my hall!" And I'm just like, "Yo, you are a cop in a teacher's body."
They don't want to see you winning.
I think it was Miss. We'll bleep that too, but I think it was Miss.
Yeah.
That was really big about that. I remember because I used to come in. I'd always get Chick-fil-A in the morning and bring that in. And I remember they would try to be like, no outside food.
Yeah.
That was their thing. No outside food.
Like it's a restaurant or something.
Yeah, it's like, you want my lunch too? Like,
No, that's crazy. No outside food is nuts. Like that's insane. I feel like I got so far left. But to backtrack, we had this friend group, and pretty much we had this group me with like a ton of our friends from like different schools and stuff. And so my homegirl Layla, like I believe she added me to this chat, and it's like kids from like Grady, from like all these schools from all over, from like DSA, which is like a school in DeKalb. And so through that, I met so many people from so many different schools, and I was just like, yo, I want to link up with all these people. And it just so happened that I was like, okay, I want to start a clothing brand. Once I was trying to start a clothing brand, I was like, I love Oni's art. And my homie Xavier at the time, he was a graphic designer and he knew how to build websites. So I was like, hey guys, you want to start something with me? Like, I have this idea called Lotus Rosary. I would love for you guys to like just join me, be a part of this.
So you came up with the idea for Lotus, well, at least the name and concept for Lotus originally on your own, and then you came to your friends with the idea?
Yeah. So it was like we used to have like I created like a collective before that, but I was just like, I really want to recreate something for myself and my like closer friends. And so that was like the birth of like Lotus Rosary, and we did this huge like shoot with like we got like 50 shirts and like had given them to like all these creatives in this group me, and we just like we're like, hey, like we're gonna go do a shoot outside. Did this crazy shoot. After that, I'm just chilling with my brother. He was managing the studio in Metropolitan Art District, and I'm in the studio just hanging out doing nothing. I asked to go to the bathroom. As I'm going to the bathroom, there's like this window that I pass on like the left, and I looked through the window. It's like this huge venue. And so he was like, yo, you trying to do something here? And I'll give you the venue for $200. I was like, $200? That's $200. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna do something.
That's crazy.
And it wasn't even that. I didn't even know that was a good deal as much as it was a good deal. But I also was like, it was one of those things where I just spoke as soon as he said it, I was like, yes, I'll do it, type shit. And so I talked to my friends. I was like, yo, like we should do a launch party for our clothing brand. And so from there, I realized like we have like so many friends who are like creatives from these different schools who make music, who do this. I was like, what if we did a showcase that people performed at? So pretty much we tried to find crazy like the top creatives in like this like scene from all the different schools and stuff. we put a bunch of people on that show. I think it was like Kenny Mason, like BK the Rula, like all these people who are like signed major deals now.
So what was, I mean, I don't, just to slow it down, what was that, because I'm really interested in like that first concert, how you went about setting that up, and like what was your frame of reference like?
Oh, so my frame of reference was when I was in middle school, I used to like, it was like this, like one of those oddly satisfying pages on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they would like, it had like 10 million or like some like large amount of like Instagram followers. And I helped like curate that page with this friend of mine named Diego. From just the internet, and we just kept posting these things, and then we just saw it was like doing numbers. And so from there, I think that I subconsciously learned marketing. I subconsciously learned how to make things go up on Instagram, like what's gonna catch people's attention. And that was at a very early age. Like I didn't realize what I was doing. I just saw, oh, the number goes up when I do this. So it kind of trained me in a sense, so that when it came down to like promotion and marketing for our events, it was always over the top. I knew how to market like peer-to-peer, but I also knew how to market digitally. Like I was like, okay, this has to be like this way. If we use these colors, like it's gonna attract people's eyes. If we use animated graphics, like people aren't, like the scene doesn't really have that. I haven't seen like an animated flyer, and just the fact that we're the youth is what's gonna draw the most people. So.
And it's interesting you say you kind of started with the meme pages, because I feel like that's going to be a really common thread. Like that Lil Nas, that's like his thing. And I just see it's the people, because I ran a page with Will for a while. We did, the whole thing was just like Yankees suck memes. Like that was the whole page. And
do you not agree with that statement?
No, I just hit my head on the
mic. But got experience young building pages, building audiences. Like you weren't quite as much that, but you knew how to play those pages. Because I remember back in high school, you know, like the burn pages and shit would go around, and he submitted himself to it. He submitted himself to the burn page and wrote some nasty shit. Like the rest of us were all really upset. Like we were going around trying to figure out who ran the page and then who would like submit Tyrone, and we were furious. And he was like, but it got him talking, didn't it? And
the ultimate troll.
That's what I want to ask future guests about that, like if they have any sort of experience running that like as a kid, because it seems like it plays really well into what we're trying to do now.
Yeah, 100%. I think that that's definitely the case. I mean, I've like, even with like young writers too, like you can see like some people who are like writing some of like the best stuff right now, from like just books to like screenwriting and all this different stuff. They started out like on Wattpad doing like One Direction like things, or like just random. And I think
growing up doing fan fiction,
literally fanfics, like, and now they've scaled it. So it is crazy that like those things that are just, and I think that's how most things at last start, is just like a genuine hobby, and then it becomes something more, it teaches us something. Because
you started it because you wanted to do this, not you're like, oh, we could probably make a viral page and whatever. Like you were making content that you liked and put it out and then learned.
100%. 100%.
I love the conversation. Well, were you about to say something?
Oh yeah, so we have the launch party, and then literally like we expected like 50 of our friends to show up. We're expecting this to be like 50 people. Like we'll be cool with 50 people. Like 50 people, $10, $500. We made profit. Like we're great now. We paid off the venue. We didn't have to pay for anything else. Like everything was cool. So then like all of a sudden we look outside. There's a line like wrapped around the block, and we're like, what the hell is this? We had a security guard. The security guard didn't even pull up. He didn't even think it was gonna be like an event that really needed security. He was just like, how many people are gonna be there? 50 people. Like, all right, bruh. So he didn't pull up, and it ended up being 500 people who pulled up. So we were just like, yo,
god damn.
Yes, and we were crammed in this like tiny ass building.
So what were you thinking at that point? Like,
and how old were you when this was going on?
I was 17 years old when we did that first event.
you can get high schoolers to pack a building like that.
No, for sure. Because people in our school were doing like parties, like, but they were more on some like, oh, this is a twerk party, like pajama party, pull up, da 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 da. But like for us, it was more so like I wanted to highlight the other kids, like the outcasts, the weirdos, the artistic ones. So.
What do you feel like drew you to the artist that you picked? Like, what do you think it is that made you select the artist that you selected, and then just going down the creative direction that you? What do you think was the reason for that?
I feel like when I listened to like back then, when I was listening to the newer artists, I'm like, you're not far from like being something that I could hear on the radio, and like I think it's in my head, it was always like I could see them going farther, because I was always into like the underground scene. Like even when I was like, even back then, it's like me and my friends would always like be like, oh, this person, he's gonna be the next big thing. Like, oh, this person's gonna be the next big thing. And so I feel like I just applied those like little A&R skills that I just learned from just me and my homies, just being like, dope things are always gonna like find their way into like fruition. Because if I think that it's amazing to a certain degree, and I'm thinking of it from like a certain taste level, I feel like there's someone else out there with an opportunity who's going to reach out to that person, and what's great will always like come out on top.
I feel that I'm the same way. I feel like everything I like is the best thing ever, but yet just people can't seem to get along with it. Like, I'm big in wrestling. I still have not managed to convince everybody to be wrestling fans yet. I don't get it.
But the thing about wrestling is like they have like there's like a community for that shit. Like,
there is, but I'm trying to put people on. I'm trying to expose the world, but I don't have what you have, unfortunately.
not yet. But it's on the way.
I'll get there. So after this first Lotus concert, tell me, like, when does the conversation go to, all right, well, how do we do it, but how do we go bigger?
Right. So literally that night, like it's me, Xavier, Oni. Like I believe we went back to like my crib or something. We were just like, at the second we saw like all those people in there, it was just this immediate like, oh, this is what we want to do. Like we were doing something just to like, that's an interesting thing about like finding your purpose. It's like something can like lead you to it. You could be like just a few like centimeters off type, and that's what I felt. That's what it felt like with like the clothing brand. It was like, I'm really not into clothes like that, but I felt like it's just something to like unite people. It's like that's something that like a collective needs. So my real care became in events, and once I saw that, it was just like a spark just came off, like, and everyone just saw it, and we were just like, yeah, like, let's do a festival. Like that was literally our conversation the next day. It was like, I want to find a way. I want to be bigger than Coachella. I want to be bigger than Rolling Loud. I want to be bigger than all of these festival brands and take it around the world and give creatives a platform everywhere.
That just fits the vibe of this whole show really well. Like the beats that are playing right now, I'm literally like, from your Trippy Red suggestion, like I'm just going through anybody that's got like 10 views on their beat video. I'm like, that's what we're playing today.
And these beats
like,
are hard.
Yeah, all of these are from people with like a couple of these like 3 subscribers. There's so much talent out there, and if you're a person that like appreciates, like, it's not the numbers, it's the thing that's in front of you. Like,
yeah,
there's so much beauty and like cool shit in the world if you're willing to just look at it. Like,
yeah, and I think that's the problem with this industry, is it's just like a bunch of people who are looking for that easy check, that easy layup. They just want to be able to, oh, I can just push this button. It makes sense. I can get him on this platform. Like, this is why I'm going to talk to this artist, because they have somewhat of a buzz. But it's like, no, like, stop being afraid to like build artists from zero. And that's what the true beauty of it. That's how you build a team that lasts forever. That's how you build something that has longevity. Those things that come so fast, pause, can also go just as quick as they came. And I feel like that's
No, that's really real though. I agree with you, because that was kind of like when I first started just podcasting in general. I was just like, I go to a performing arts high school, like a lot of these people are fire, and I just want to, like, I feel like their story should be out there, and I'm like, I'm gonna give them the platform. Well, if anybody listens to it, that's something else, but I want to be the one that helps them push it out there. And I very much empathize with what you're saying there.
And I'm interested because you said you went to Westlake.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in the band?
I wasn't in band. I've actually
Their band is like
no. Westlake's band is
Woo!
nuts. Like our like football team was just crazy in general, and just everything. I loved like the pep rallies and just coming to see all of that. Like when I was,
like Westlake would show up to the marching band exhibitions, and everybody would see Westlake walking. It's like shit. Like,
oh, are you big into band?
yeah, I was a band
Looking
kid.
at a drum major right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Oh,
and
shit.
but oh man, when Westlake and like Tri-Cities and
That
then
was
would pull
always
up,
one. Yeah.
oh my goodness. But yeah, so I was just interested, like, have you always just sort of been music adjacent, or have you played anything? Do you have any interest? Like,
So like originally, like when I was in school, I was always, so we had like guitar class and then also like keyboard class. So like we would just, me and my best friend Vic, we would just always be in those classes like together, just kind of learning how to play. And I just always had a passion for like music, like not even necessarily making music, but more so just being around that type of environment.
hell yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, you guys understood immediately after that first show, like, okay, this is what we want to do. So what exactly though did an expansion look like though? Was it more guests? Was it bigger venues? More known artists? Like what did it exactly look like for you guys? Or what did it mean at that point?
At that point, I was just like looking, like, for one, it's like the way I booked that first venue was just literally so random. So I'm like, how the hell do I even book a venue? This dude literally, like, this is Tashawn, who like literally gave me that crazy deal, who's like my brother's best friend. And so it's just crazy to like see that. And then in my head, I'm like, one, how do I find other venues? Two, it's like, how do I scale this? And so as I just kind of got more immersed in the scene, started working on different projects, I started to realize like all that people care about is like sponsorships. Like that's really the game to like leveling up your like audience. Is just like at the end of the day, these brands care about a certain demographic, and they want the youth, they want the cool factor. So the fact that we have that, I know that we can leverage that to get a brand to pay for the whole experience. And that's always been the goal, is just find long-term partners that want Lotus to happen across the world, and just find ways for them to like help us amplify. And so once I really started to learn about like sponsors and how to find contacts, because they speak a whole language. It's like all they care about is like KPIs, which is like key performance indicators. And like they're like, okay, we need to hit like 20,000 of Atlanta's youth to like make this much money. Like that's how they keep their jobs. So like in that, it's like hard to find people who really give a fuck about nurturing the youth, and like just all the way down to like even their products. But I could go on a rabbit hole on that type of stuff.
But that's interesting though, because you seem to be somebody who can appeal to both sides. Like you man on the streets, you can talk to the people, know what they want, explain that, but then you can go into the office building and explain it in their terms. Should you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I feel like it's a fair assessment. I think that often like I find myself like getting these roadblocks in the essence that like, because I'm like younger, even though I may have my shit together more than another executive, like they won't give that bag that they could give. They won't give us that investment that they could give, because maybe the numbers don't back it. So in my head, I was just like, we gotta get our numbers up. So that's what came after that. If you saw, like, it was like a whole era where there was like an event every weekend, like it's like people damn near was like sick of us to a certain point. It's like, damn, like Lotus this week, Lotus that week, Lotus this week, like damn, like. And I felt like in that, like I was just like, okay, I feel like in this industry, quantity's beating quality. So that was like my logic for like a year or two, and that was like probably the most I've ever worked in my entire life. I don't think it was worth it, but the amount of experience I gained from that was like insane, and the audience grew because we have all those stats, we have all those people that we can reach back out to through email, through phone number, like, so I think that was very valuable. But in that, like, I didn't know balance, and I didn't have mentors, which is the key to all of this, is mentors. Like, if you're surrounding yourself around people who all they know is like grind, like don't sleep, don't eat, like that's what's going to be instilled into you. And I feel like I didn't have the right people around me at that moment that just kind of taught me to be like, oh yeah, like you got to work before you eat type shit. And it's like, no, that's really not how this works. I've seen, like, just hearing some of like my new mentors speak, it's like, no, you got to prioritize rest. Like, it's quality over quantity. Like, you can do one event in a year and that could have way more impact than 40 events in a year.
I'm glad to hear, especially someone like you say that, because from my perspective, you know, I only see what you do. So I'm like, damn, he's literally everywhere all the time. Like, this guy just doesn't stop. But it actually relieves me a little bit to hear you be like, nah, man, like, I'm prioritizing the rest.
Because we've been getting ready for this upcoming season and been, you know, it's sort of the grind set, like, okay, we want to have this many interviews and like we want to have these type of structures, and if we're going to do that, then we need to write this type of stuff, and we need to like do this and this and this, and like obviously a lot of that work does need to get done.
Yeah.
But like at least my starting point this season was like, okay, we just need to be working, just work. As long as we're doing something, but not having direction, not having a lot of work, you're busy, but you're not doing anything.
Exactly. And I think the key there is really like, one, like, just because you don't hit those goals doesn't mean that makes you less of a person. And I think that's the thing we get like so twisted up. It's like we compare ourselves to where we were a year before, and we're like, I didn't hit these goals, like, damn, what the hell am I really even doing? You know, and I guess my words to that is just like, all you have, even if you just do one thing that's super small and may seem insignificant, that's all you need to do. Like, you don't have to be at 100% all the time. You just have to literally put one brick down for that day. If that just means I said I was going to start a page today, I just start the page. I don't make any content. Like, it's just that one thing, and that momentum will build up. And it's like, just pay attention to yourself when you have those strides where you want to do something, because it's going to come over. I'm just like in a problematic mindset, but it's gonna take over you in the sense that like you're gonna feel like energized in certain moments. Like some days you feel like, oh, I can knock out 1,000 things, and it's just like in those moments where you can't, let yourself just not. And
yeah, man. And that's like, I don't know, I wrote this in my phone a couple weeks ago, but realizing that like you got to set yourself some arbitrary goals. You're like, I want to get this done by this point, but like, don't let missing your arbitrary goals stop you from actually finishing the thing that you started. Because I would do that a lot. Like, I'm working on an album that's now probably going to come out beginning of this upcoming year. Mm-hmm. I wanted to have it done so I could promo it while I'm here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Didn't happen.
Right.
And I was kicking myself. I was like, damn, I really wanted to get this done. I think I could have gotten it done. I could have. And I'm looking at it, and what I do have is like demos for 6 of the 10 songs, like done. Like, I'm not done with it, but if I hadn't set that goal, I wouldn't be as far along. But then I wanted to beat myself up for not achieving the goal, instead of being like, oh, well, shit, you're almost there. Like, yeah, you didn't get it. And I've noticed that a lot in my life. Like, whatever the type of goal was, I'm like, I want to do this many of whatever by this date. Mm-hmm. And I'd get like 90% there and be like, I'm a fucking failure. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, yeah. No, but you got 90% of the way there on some arbitrary deadline. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. I definitely understand that feeling. That's like so much of like a familiar feeling for me, especially feeling like, oh, like, dang, I feel like I'm working harder than like other people. And it all comes down to like comparing yourself to others and just assuming that, you know, you're doing this more, you're doing that more. And sometimes it's just not your time just yet. And you just have to wait for your moment. And when it is your moment, like, no one can take that away from you. But like, as you see other people's journey, just like respect it, and like also be happy for other people. Like, you don't know what they went through to get to where they are, and I think that's the problem with social media. Is like, we're only seeing accolades, we're only seeing this person touch this height. People are only seeing, oh, he did this, he was on set with Nike, oh, Lotus is going up, oh, he got the sponsorship. But it's like, nah, and in between that, I get very sad. And like, and that's okay too, because like, honestly, like, that's really why we're taking like a break from Lotus right now, is because like, we've been doing this since we were 17 years old. Like, I feel like to a certain degree I missed out on years trying to like grind and not taking time for family, not taking time for friends, for loved ones. And so I'm trying to get back into like learning how to be a 23-year-old and like just like breathing and just being okay with that, because I know that at the end of the day, like, we've built a brand that like people care for, and because there's dope people behind it, and as long as there's dope people behind something, it's always gonna work.
And I noticed like 23 for me was, I'm 25 now. 23 was like the year where I had to really look at myself and be like, okay, what do I want? What do I want out of this? Because I was like, I still kind of felt like a kid. I was like, I'm so much older than all these kids. Like, but like, I didn't feel comfortable stepping into being an adult. And I realized it was because I had to like adjust my goals and things, the things that I wanted when I was a kid and was working towards. I was like, this doesn't interest me the way that I thought it would. And taking some time to just breathe with it and let yourself feel. I see that as just like, you're discouraged from doing it. And when you can fight to do that, there's now I'm kind of rambling, but you get what I'm saying though.
No,
like
100%. I feel like,
and it was because it was really scary that some of the things that I really cared about, I found I just don't give a shit anymore. And having to let things go, it was scary because I was like, I don't know what's gonna come. But if I hadn't let those go, the new things that come along, I wouldn't have even had the room to take on the new. Because I'm still trying, like, if I was still trying to be a professional baseball player, I don't have time for anything, and I'd be really sad and bad at what I do as well. Like, you gotta let things go. But I don't know, I'm happy to hear that you're kind of in this like introspective, let me figure myself out. This is a good year to do it.
You mentioned something that I was gonna ask about, and you talked about, how you guys are on break from Lotus right now. And from my perspective, I didn't really know. I just remember the announcement. You were like, hey, taking a break, we may come back in a different way, but we're still here, but we're just taking a step back. So, but good to get some clarity that it was just, you guys just wanted time to like live and experience and try other things. But one thing I did want to ask you though was like when you were preparing that last show, did it feel like some finality, or were you just kind of like, this is just a comma, not a period?
For me, there's a little bit of like, throughout that entire event of like happening, it was so many things that happened that went into that last like Lotus that we had. From one, Surf, my artist,
shout out to Surf,
he was on tour, his first tour, and we got a van and we drove to Boston. And that was like a 20-hour drive. And so like, in between all of this, like, and we went to Brooklyn the night before Lotus. And so we're driving to Brooklyn. We're driving 16 hours from Brooklyn to Atlanta, I'm driving straight to the Vinyl center stage.
Wow.
From Brooklyn. So in my head, it was just like, once this is over, like, I'm just ready to rest. Like, honestly. But what I in my head, I was scared because I was like, the thing that that I noticed with my team is like, when we slow down, we have to like start back from 0%. And I guess my mindset is always like, okay, we got to be at 100% all the time. And I think there's like a certain fear of like, oh, once you slow down, you can't get back to where you were. But the reality is like, it's just understanding that you're not back at 100%, and that's okay. And that's what gave me faith to be like, it's cool. Like, we can do this. I have faith in what we built. I have faith in our dream. And like I know that we'll come back to this, and everyone's gonna come back better on the other side, because I can see it in these people's face. Like we've done this so much, and I just also want to I want everyone to prioritize themselves and their own growth too. That's a big thing for me. I feel like with us always grinding, it's like, when was the last time y'all spent time with y'all families if y'all are always with me?
Yeah.
Like we're all like trying to get to this next thing, which is okay. Like our logic has always been, let's do the sacrifices now rather than when we're 30. And so we can chill when we're like 30, 40, 50.
Yeah, and I think it honestly tracks with just like the natural progression of your age. Like you're getting to the point where you're starting to learn out who Anwar is, the person, like, you know, not just the businessman, not just the, you know, project manager, like who am I as a person? So it would make sense at this point for you to also just take a step back and be like, you know, let me find out for my own. One thing I wanted to ask you, what is something that you feel that what's a difference that you saw, and not just yourself, but in your team as a whole, looking at your first concert and then looking at this last one? What's some of the biggest changes you've noticed?
In the very first Lotus, this habit of mine became, and I feel like it was me. I always wear this trench coat when I come to Lotus. It's this trench coat Oni gave me for the very first Lotus. She like drew Lotus Rosary on there, and she made it super dope. And I wear this trench coat all the time. But I say all that to say, I would usually run around these events like looking like a chicken with my head cut off. Like I'm trying to like do the door, help somebody with the door, any issues at the door. I'm like, people are texting me trying to get in. And then I'm on stage, like trying to do stage management, making sure the show is running on time, doing like a million jobs at once. And I felt like for the first time, not the first time, but like compared to like where we initially were, I could see growth in the sense that the most recent Lotus was like, oh, I didn't have to touch that much. Like I put everyone in a position to where no one was overwhelmed, no one was like really stressed, and like we didn't really have any issues. It's a pretty seamless show. Everyone performed, everyone, you know, had a great experience. And that was like the first Lotus I can say was like, this is our model. Like we have our model now. Like we know we need people in these positions to make an amazing showcase happen with no hiccups. And as long as we follow this like guideline, we'll be fine. And so now it's just time to like bring in, you know, other people who are like just, I guess, just like try to upscale our festival into like something we can take outside and something that we can make bigger.
Yeah, you can take your jacket off. You're getting hot. You look like you were about to, and you're like, nah.
Yeah, just be cozy.
Yeah, no, I got you. Did some technical difficulties go wrong?
Oh, bro, the board disconnected.
It's fine. Don't even worry about it. We'll just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah. So hopefully it's still recording here.
Yeah. That's why I was telling you, like, don't even acknowledge it. But
cool.
Anyway,
with festival, like,
go ahead.
I had a lot. I'm a little flustered. With the festival itself, I'm really jealous isn't the right word, but like it's kind of the right word.
Envious, probably.
Yeah, I think that's probably the better. That's tangent. Jealousy isn't bad. How you choose to deal with it can be. But
word to Kanye.
But that was one I just remember being, you know, like 20, 21, sitting around with my friends, just like smoking weed and talking shit. Like, I was always like, yo, we should start a festival. Like, we should start a festival. And they were always like, oh, yeah, whatever. And they wouldn't take it serious. It's really fucking cool that you've managed to make that happen. Like, that, we were talking about this with your mom just before, that the people that you have around you, like, it ends up being very important to the whole thing. If you got people that are on the same wave and they see the same things, all of a sudden you can accomplish huge things. And you'll have some people in your life as well that they're fine people, whatever, but they're not, what was it you were saying, they're not like aligned with your purpose or whatever, that there's nothing wrong with the people, but they might not need to be your like primary person, because you could surround yourself, and you were talking about that too, that you can surround yourself with people that are knowledgeable, that share the same vision, and you can accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone that I've surrounded myself with has been like, they have some like special thing about them. Like everyone, like, I mean, down to like Kendrick, he's like this crazy designer, and everyone just, I think everyone around me has a dream that they're chasing to some degree, and that's kind of what I've surrounded myself with. So I feel like it makes everything feel more possible. So when like something happens, it's like, oh, finally, like it was never like a question of if, it was just more of like a when, because that's how everyone around me operates. Like everyone knows, like even in like our group chats, we're like, oh, I can't wait. Like we're all gonna be doing so great in like 10 years from now. Like I can't wait. Like I can't wait to look back and be like, damn, like we were struggling right then, and like now it's like we're chasing our dreams, and it worked, like just from persistence and like trust in a vision. So it definitely, like a lot of people could not stay around because it was like I could see that they were limiting themselves, or just like not allowing themselves to be as great as they really could be. And me as your friend, if anyone is like close to me, they know like I'm gonna be like, why aren't you doing your shit? And I think that was also my problem, was I'm gonna call you out for like not being on your shit, because that's what I would want you to do for me. But not everyone works like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people
lie to me.
Some people need more time, and they're just not ready to commit to something as like scary, or as you know, the fear in their head or whatever they're afraid of, and that's okay. It's gonna take time, and sometimes, you know, not everyone's meant to be this entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Not everyone's meant to be this like, I'm gonna work 1 million hours in a day like person. Like it's okay to just get a 9-to-5. It's okay to just do something is my thing. Like,
I think grace is a word that is often like left out of today's whatever. Like we don't offer, not only do we not offer grace to like other people, we don't offer a lot of grace to ourselves a lot of time. Like we're all very much in this very fast, everybody's making it seems like in one day type of thing. And it's like, you have to be able to tell yourself, like you said, it's like, maybe that's not necessary. What works for them is not necessarily going to work for you, and that's okay. And I think it's understanding that everybody has differences and trying to find that middle ground.
And just aging, like my concept and relationship with time is much different than it was a couple years ago. Like now, I remember being 21 and being like, fuck, I'm 30. Like I'm basically 30, and now I'm gonna be 26 in a month, and I'm like, I got tons of time. Like I've still got like 4 years before then. Like, and I'd only had, you know, 5-year chunks go by a couple times at that point. And now I'm just like, oh yeah, well 5 years you can do so much. Things change. The concept of things changing and being, you're gonna have to adjust the plan, and you can't just stick to that first thing that you did. That's comfortable now, but until you get to that point, like, shit, you're just like, I gotta keep going. If I don't capitalize today, it's gone.
Yeah.
Scarcity mindset type beat.
100%. And I think what really grounded me is definitely the people around me, because they always remind me like, dude, you're young as fuck, trying to do these crazy things, and it's working. Whether it's not working in the way that you want it to be, it's working to some degree, and like you have to acknowledge that. Because I talked to my mentor, Key Henderson, and she like literally every time I'm like, yeah, I'm 23, like, and she's like, you're 23? What the fuck? Like she's like, how are you even like this? Like you're the most thorough young nigga I've seen. Like what's wrong with you? And that helps me realize like, oh, like we're good. Like we're not, like I'm not in a bad position. Like the trajectory is what I really need to start thinking about. It's not like, growth is not linear, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And I feel like we're all like kind of spiraling up, and so it's okay. Yeah, like to just spiral upwards.
I'm glad you brought up Key. I had her on my sheet. But Key Henderson, talk to me about that relationship. How did you? Well, to the people who don't know, explain who Key is, and then how did you guys come together, and what has that relationship meant to you?
Wait, could you say that one more time?
Which part?
The part about Key, like the question.
Oh, my question about Key. So you, fuck. Now I'm on the spot.
Yeah.
So you brought up Key. I'm glad you did, because I had her on my sheet, and I wanted to ask you about, the relationship about you and Key. How did you? First of all, who is Key? And then what is you guys' relation? How did it come about? And what all have you just learned from her in this time?
Right. So I feel like Key is like one of the greatest mentors I've ever had. There's like, I feel like so many people who have assisted me in this journey, but there's like people who like will literally just like shift your way of like thinking when you're approaching things in the industry. And who Key is she's the dot connector. She's the like the liaison, the person that knows everyone that's touched acts from 21 Savage to JID. She's the co-founder of Since the 80s. She's used to work for Complex. Like, she's just this fucking industry.
Person you need to know.
The person you need to know, but also a good person. Like, and I think that's what sets her apart, is just her personability. Like, she's just literally a great person, and is just like such a grounded person. Like, you would think that a person like that would have an ego, or would just be an asshole, like, because that's how a lot of industry people are. They get their big plaques, and they just, So to see somebody who has a Grammy in her crib type shit, like, and is just calm, is like crazy to me. But I go on to say, like, Key showed me that, like, even as like an OG or as this mentor, you don't have to, like, there's nothing that harms you from walking that person through a door. Every instance that I've ever had with Key was she walks me straight to the plug. Like, she's like, oh yeah, like, literally Surf, my artist, that's also like my good friend, and she literally, Surf was posting on Twitter, I really want to go get tickets to this Post Malone show. He literally calls me like a couple hours before the show. He's like, hey, we're gonna go to the Post Malone shit, like, you riding with me, like, type shit. So it's just the care. Like, it's very hard. I know there's a million things going on in her head because she has so many things to worry about. Like, she has her new project, which is Third and Hayden, and like Second Bedroom, and these are like both like really dope projects. And on Third and Hayden, you have Dead Cassettes, you have Ben Riley, you have so many artists that are just super talented. And for her to also be thinking about what matters to me when she has so many things on her plate just shows like what kind of person she is. It's like, she cares. Like, there's no in between. Like, when she gives a fuck about someone, she really cares. And so I say all that to say, which is my favorite thing to say. I say all that to say, like, Key's a great person. There's been so many times where she's literally walked me. I've been like, damn, like, how do I do this? And she'll be like, oh, like, here's my agent at ICM, come talk to them. Like, it's like, oh, you're trying to do this? You need to know this person. Like, literally, Surf wants to go to a Post Malone concert, we're gonna walk you backstage. I'm gonna introduce you to his tour manager, his actual manager, Post Malone. Let you meet Post Malone after a stadium tour where he fucked up his ankle. And like he still wants to like go and talk to Key, which just shows like how much respect people have for her. It was like, so all these megastars like Quavo, like all these people are like, they know, like, they may be walking in a crowd full of 1 million people, they know they have to stop and shake her hand. Like, it's a thing. Like, you just see it. It's like, that's how important of a person she is, and that's someone you can't even afford to count out, which is why it's like so dope to see her doing Third and Hayden, because that's literally like, that's her legacy. And so it's just amazing to see what she's accomplished and is going to accomplish. That's my OG, but we're her.
Would you say she is the Key?
Key genuinely opens doors.
Thank you. I'll be here all week. So
Key is the key.
that.
No cap.
I got you. I love it. So I want to talk about what you do today because, we know the Lotus stuff, but you've mentioned it a little bit just through referring to it. But today you do manage artists. You are also a project manager.
Yeah.
You're going to have to explain that to me because it's... Let me read to you guys what a project manager says it does. Project manager serves as the project owner responsible for the successful development, implementation, and delivery of program and project campaigns to internal and external clients while under tight deadline.
I love that. Yeah, that's do that all.
So if you could put that in English.
Yeah, so
what does a project manager do?
Long story short, there's like a room and it's on fire and you have to put everything out all at once. Nah. I'm just playing. So I work at Collective Gallery. I was fortunate enough to like have an opportunity to work.
And explain what
Collective Gallery is the first label for photographers. And it's founded by Cam Kirk, and there's like this amazing team of execs from Charity to Shelly to Kyle, and the whole team is amazing, honestly. Some of like the greatest people who have taught me so much, honestly. And pretty much it's this label for photographers that has like this partnership with Atlantic Records to where we just do a lot of content for and have a ton of like agents. We have cut that out. So it's a label for photographers, and pretty much we just help service the industry with different projects that are brought to our attention. And so what I do there every day is a different day. Like from just going all the way out to LA to help on set with like Nike to working on like a Bacardi campaign or like Ryder and Skrill. So it's like I wear a lot of different hats, just like I do outside.
I like that hat, by the way.
Thanks.
No problem.
Thanks. It's my brother's friend. I'll be sure to get you guys a hat. But yeah, no, it's a very like it's a great environment to be in. Honestly, I love working there because it's just so many genuine people that you're always around, and also I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. Like I'm touching campaigns that I never thought that are like global campaigns. Like working on the Nike Yard Runners campaign was crazy to me because it's just like also Nike has the best. I signed an NDA. I can't say that.
Okay,
well, I'm gonna just say it to y'all. But they have like these fucking like on set, like it's like masseuses, like for the crew. This is not for the talent. There's literally like these tents. It's like unlimited food, snacks, drinks, whatever you can think of. These people get it for you, and literally like giving you massages in between sets from like holding lights, stuff like that. And I'm like, damn.
And you'll never know about it.
This is money.
This was really cool insight that y'all won't.
You'll never hear.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. I like being in the know.
Do they have masseuses for the masseuses? Like, what happens if their hands cramp?
I feel like they just do it to each other.
That makes sense. That they get you get the circle going. Everybody.
I love it. Now, artist managing.
This is where we'll cut back into.
Yeah.
Artist managing.
Yeah. Now managing an artist. Now you said now that right now you manage Surf, but you have the benefit of him being a close friend of yours. So talk to me about how that whole relationship. What does a manager even do in 2022?
So management is just such a broad thing. It's everything. You're responsible for the artist's like emotions, how they're feeling, what they're going through. Like almost to every aspect, like because that affects the business to some degree. It's like if your artist isn't feeling well and they can't create, that affects the business. So I feel like it's everything from like coordinating sessions to just like day-to-day stuff to making connections to figuring out what matters to the artist. Like meeting Post Malone is like, hey, what matters to Surf? Like that's like to him is like meeting to some people Kanye or to meeting like Drake. So it's just figuring out what the artist cares about and like just helping them achieve their goals and their dreams, and just yeah, just being in it with them. So I know that's very broad, but
that's the answer.
It is.
But now, with him being a friend of yours, does that make things easier, or does it make things a little bit more complicated on certain ends?
I think because of the type of person that Surf is, it makes it easier. Like I don't think anyone's had trouble really doing business with him, because for us, we keep things very separate, but also we're pretty logical and like also pretty emotional people. So if he's feeling a way about something, I'm just gonna hear him out and see like how I can find. Like, I guess that's because I've done a lot of project management. I have to find ways to make sure that the relationship between the client is good, and also the relationship between the artist to the label. And so it's all I do is manage relationships. And so when it comes down to my friends, I feel like that's what makes me good at managing relationships, is just being a decent friend. So for us, it's pretty easy. We just play Fortnite, and then just and
what a life.
Literally, we play Fortnite, and then he goes to the studio, and he gets back to work, and I go back to work, whatever I have to do to elevate this, and then we come back together and make sure things are moving.
What a life.
I want to circle back to something you said a while ago, where you were talking about after your first show, then you were like, okay, what do we do here? Like, how do we go about booking these venues and whatever? And I ask because I think the listeners might know, but really I'm curious because I've been trying in the preparation for this trip. I was like, oh, it'd be great. Like, I'm gonna try to put an event together in Atlanta, and started reaching out to these venues. And that is a process.
It is a process.
And there's a bunch of unprofessional ass people in this business as well. Which was, I guess I knew that, but it was shocking. Like, I'd never been in the position where I was approaching venues like, hey, I'd like to have an event, and between either just real cold, like, hey, I'd type out this long thing, whatever, and I just got a couple emails that were just no.
Yeah.
And I was like, why even send an email?
So that's an issue in itself. And what happens there is, if it's a more popular venue, they're going to want to make the most dollars possible.
Yeah.
So the day that you're probably asking for one is probably like a Saturday, Sunday.
Of course.
And those are the most desirable dates.
Right.
And so with a lot of bigger venues, they have these things where it's like called like soft holds. And so typically when you're trying to do an event, you ask for like 3 potential dates. They'll put holds on it, and you can challenge someone else on a hold. So for instance, with our last Lotus, somebody else, there was 4 holds on that, and these are like other agents and people fighting for that date. And so you have to have a good relationship with these venues. Luckily, my great friend Madeline, who came to like the second Lotus ever, has like grown to be in like an amazing position at center stage. So that's like an easy relationship for me to tap into. However, we've cold emailed like venues when we were first starting and got no responses. But it's a relationships game. So just because you're emailing their site or finding their website and trying to reach out doesn't mean they're going to reach out. You have to find the person who does the booking for that venue, which is easy when you like come into the industry and you're like, oh, this is the person who does a lot of events. Like, just ask them, and then they know a relationship that they can connect you with. Like, hey, this dude really. It just comes down to people, knowing people, and just having that liaison that can walk you through there. Luckily, my other mentor, Yusuf, like, I literally met him. I saw him on Instagram. I thought he was a really dope dude. He's always working on festivals. I'm like, oh, this is literally what I care about. I feel like this is where I want to be one day. So I'm walking, and I see him like down the street, and I'm walking past the skate park. And I immediately walk up to him. I'm like, hey, yo, you inspire me. Like, literally seeing what you do is literally one of my biggest dreams and stuff. And from that day, he made a post like later that week saying he's looking to take on a mentor. And of course, we have like he's like, comment some names below for who we should do. Of course, I hit up the Lotus crew. And of course, we flooded his comments with thousands of comments. And from there, he was like, I'm going to take you on. I'm going to help you wherever you need help. If you have any questions, I'm going to literally show you how to do whatever you're trying to do, because I can tell you're a genuine person, and I can tell you care about what you're actually doing. So you're going to be my successor. And
Wow.
I was smiling. Literally, I was like cold. Like I was like, what? I feel like I just got knighted or something. Like, and so like I think that's the most important thing, is like finding a mentor. Like, go to everyone and ask, like continuously ask, and pay attention to who you hear good things about. If I hear like 4 or 5 good things about the same person, I need to go find out for myself. Like, you seem like a great person. You're gonna do right. Like, I want to get to know you. I want to build a relationship with you. But also, you don't just have to use these professional ass venues. There's Peerspace, which is an application where literally it's like Airbnb but for venues. And
What was that?
Peerspace. It's PEERSPACE.
This is not an ad, by the way.
Yeah, this is a genuine.
Peerspace is a fucking game changer.
Okay, yeah.
It's a game changer because you don't have to go through these gatekeepers and these super professional venues. Sometimes the thing about Peerspace is, because it's like a platform similar to Airbnb, there's reviews. So people get scared when you have to give a review. So they're gonna treat things right. They're gonna actually operate as a professional business. You can go and see, oh, this person has 300 like 5-star rates. Like, I know that I'm gonna get whatever I need within this, and it's just an amazing platform. You can see they have speakers, you can see if they have everything equipped for you to do everything with your event. So that was like a game changer, because we would just be searching, and with enough research you can find what you're looking for online. Like, there's plenty of venues that you can just tap in through other platforms similar to Peerspace. So that's a little cheat code though.
Okay, yeah, that's
And people don't want to tell people about it, but I don't give a fuck, because it's like,
Dropping jewels.
yeah.
Dropping jewels.
On the I guess more of a technical side, what are you looking for? Like, if you're like, okay, I think this might be a good venue, and they hit you with, okay, this will be the cost. This will be. Do you have like a? Because it was different things between like, oh, we want a deposit up front, plus we want a guarantee of whatever at the bar.
right.
Do you have numbers or ratios, like, oh, if there's this many people, we can probably make this like?
So the fun thing about this industry is everything is like negotiating. So for me, I have the leverage of saying that I have a certain amount of like stats of people who come to my events that I've been recording that data to be like, hey, like, I know that you're gonna make like X amount of money off of the bar, and this is your rental fee. So why don't you just keep the bar, and I'll keep the door, and I don't have to pay that fee upon entry. So I think it's just what you negotiate. I've negotiated like plenty of like different contracts, but I think usually what you're gonna want to look for is like a venue that's charging. I feel like standard for me is like $100 to $200 is like, that's what you want to look per hour.
Okay.
Per hour. And you want to kind of look for those kind of venues, because those are usually venues that are pretty flexible. When you see these venues that are trying to charge $300 an hour, like it's easier to just be like, hey, and you can hit people up and be like, what's your buyout fee to rent this venue for a whole day? They'll say something like $2,000-$3,000. And sometimes that's worth it if you know you can bring out that many people. But if you're just starting out, sometimes it's better just to hit up a cafe. Go to that cafe that they're not open at night, like, and just be like, hey, can I just bring in some speakers here? We'll have a cleaning crew come through. You pay somebody like $100, $200 to just clean up, sweep the venue after you're done with it. And a lot of these places, like, they're making money while sleeping, so they're gonna take whatever deal you're bringing. Like, you pay them $400, and that's like a cheat code too when you're first starting up. Well,
That's a great idea.
yeah. Bars and little speakeasies, or like places, literally just places that aren't open past a certain point. Like,
Gotta love it. Gotta love the sound advice.
I'm thinking now. Yeah, we'll talk some more about this after the interview ends.
So, one of my last questions for you here today. Really appreciate you coming by. Like I said, really do. Been loving this conversation. I'm glad we gotten you opening up, telling your story and things like that. But last question I got for you, it's a vague one. The future of Lotus, of Anwar. What does that look like?
Honestly, the future of Lotus is the same dream we've had since day one. I want to turn it into a touring festival. I want it to be like Band's Warped Tour, but like mixed with Rolling Loud to a certain degree. And I think it's very possible, and I think it will happen. It's just with like persistence. And for me, I think I'm just defining like what my thing is, because I think that my talent is like bringing together creatives, but I don't know what my thing necessarily is. And so I'm experimenting with like a few things like DJing or like photography, and just seeing where I fit. And I think that's why this break is so important.
Love it. Okay, well, we've reached the end of our journey. So I guess the only thing we can do now is bookend this thing. You know, we came in with the freestyle, and this is a show centered around freestyling. So what I want to do, we're gonna keep it real, like we're gonna do it like the natives did, you know? So based on the conversation we've had here, give me like 3 words, topics, themes, whatever, and then I'll give you 16, and that's how we'll close this show out. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, so give me 3.
Grace, key,
okay,
and patience. That's a hard one.
Okay.
I had to throw a little curveball in there.
Give me a second.
All right. While you're thinking, I want you also to give me we're gonna go look up a tight beat.
Oh yeah.
So Tyrone, while you're formulating, what would you like to hear him rap over?
Pierre Bourne type beat.
Okay. Grace, key, patience.
We can play around with like putting the words up on the screen and the little check marks and everything.
A lot of ways we can go with this.
This is gonna be cool. This is the first time we do a game at the end of every episode, but this is the first time we've done this one. So this should be cool. Let's see what we got. Something with less than 10,000 views. Oh, perfect. This one. This should work. Tyrone, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think we can make it work.
Okay. I'm gonna.
Okay.
Grace.
Okay.
Key, patience.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
When I spit it, it sounds nice, you can tell by the cadence, but I take my time, look at the clock, cause I got the patience, but I go in and make shit like I was going creating, but I never fake it, they just know I just come in and make it. Back off the top, killing this thing, I could never stop, they go call the cops, got a guitar cause that's how I rock, but I kill it with ease. They know that I unlocked this, cause gave me the keys. Blowing them trees, they see that I go high, I be in the sky. Wings on my back, they thought this boy could come in and fly. But I'm too shy. Mask on my face, it's not a disguise. I don't need to try. I look in their face, I see that they cry. I'm killing the game, I close the case. Bow your head and say your grace. I'm saving face, give a fuck about they taste. If he's salty, he can shake. I was gonna try to define it with a shaker, but you know, it is what it is, you know. A little something was a little more than 16, but you know, it sounded pristine, so that's all that matters. Woo! Well, we made it, Lotus. I called you Lotus. We made it here, Anwar. Thank you again, man. I really appreciate you coming by. Like I said, this has been a long time coming. I've wanted to pick your brain for so long, and I'm glad I finally got to do that, man. And it really means a lot. And I'm glad you got to give some insight to Joe, because he's been bugging me about venues, and I haven't had anything to tell him.
This was really useful, and I think this was also just a really good first guest of this season. As we're kind of reinventing what we're doing, and it seems that's where you're at in your life as well. So
100%. I think that everything I'm about is just telling people how to do things. If I went through something difficult to like get to the next stage, I don't want anyone else to have to go through that, because it took me time, and what's the point of learning all this knowledge and making the effort to learn this knowledge if I don't make it easier for the next person? So I feel like we just got to pay things forward.
Got to. One of my favorite movies, Pay It Forward, by the way. Well, Anwar, you've made it here to the end. All that's left now here, you got this camera, that camera, this camera. I don't know which one is gonna be the main. I would say go this one just to be safe.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And let the people know, where can they find you? Where can they find your work? If they want to reach out, how can they get to you? Tell the people.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at anwar.lotus or anwar.lotus, ANWAR. Oh, it's probably going to pop up on the screen. I don't need to spell it out. Cool. But yeah, you can find me at anwar.lotus, and you can check out our festival, Lotus Rosary, on IG too. So, yeah.
There you go. Joe?
You know what's coming. It's that time of the episode. In the description, you will find a playlist with every single beat that you heard today. Go listen to them. Go listen. All these people have basically no subscribers. Go be one of their first. Go buy some beats. Go support the community. Go spend some money, and go tell your friends. If you got anybody in your life doing art, go tell your friends about it. Like, spread this shit, because it could be so cool. It could be so cool. Tyrone, take us home.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I want to thank Anwar for coming here and sharing his story. I want to thank Joe for doing what he does on the ones and twos. And more importantly, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. So, come again next time. We'll have someone else sitting in Anwar's seat, and we will be mixing it up with them. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good one.